Hold up.
Hey guys, it is Tristan with Nerdut's Newsstand, and I want to talk a little more in depth about why The Last Man getting canceled on FX and Hulu, and I want to talk about where this could lead for that series and possibly the ramifications of it being canceled, because there was a lot of really great conversations within it, and I know a lot of people are cheering this on that haven't seen it, but the depiction that they did within it was really well done. Now, if you don't know the concept, Why the Last Man is by Brian K. Vaughan and Pia Guerrera. Basically, every person with a Y chromosome died that day, except for Ampersand, the monkey, and of course, Yorick, our main character. Unfortunately, in this setting, I didn't feel like Yorick was very manly. And the show is not perfect at all. I love it, but it's not perfect. And I am really sad to see it actually get canceled because it was one of the more serious shows that I really enjoyed. But with that being said, I think a lot of the conversations that they're having within this show are actually more important than the show itself. I talked yesterday on stream about when I grew up. Basically, the ideal body style was very similar to Christina Aguilera. And now that I'm in my 30s, I see women that are thick, we'll say thick, and I automatically, my brain goes to their heavy set. And that's not necessarily true. And there is a great scene with Hero, and there won't be too many spoilers in this, I promise. But there is a great scene with Hero and the Amazons, and you see this vast, wide variety of body styles. And growing up with body dysmorphia, I thought this was really cool for girls, you know, whether they're in their teens or preteens, seeing that. And of course, I can't show it. They were all nude. But even so, it was an important conversation starter. You know, that you don't have to be this idealistic body style, even if that's what you achieve for health and, of course, above all else. But it was nice to see. Now, by no means were any of them fat. I'm just saying it was a very cool concept that they added in there. Another thing I thought that was really awesome is the character of Allison Mann, who in the show, I will admit she's a little bit more annoying than in the comic, but I do like the actress that plays her. Basically, she has a conversation with Yorick. And during that conversation, she talks about people born with Y chromosomes dying, right? So you have also transgender men in this universe born with two X chromosomes. But she also talks about an important distinction that I think is really important. So I'm going to explain this the best way I know possible. People usually have 46 chromosomes in each cell, right? 2 of the 46 chromosomes, known as X and Y, are the sex chromosomes because they help determine whether a person will characteristically develop as a male or as a female. Girls and women typically have 2 X chromosomes, while boys and men typically have an X chromosome and a Y chromosome. There is something called Sawyer syndrome. Individuals with an X and a Y chromosome in each cell, which is typically found in boys and men, have a female reproductive system. It is rare, but it is something that is real. And sometimes it leads to women being completely out of their mind during that hormonal change. And a lot of times it will cause the ideal of wanting to transition. It is something that is very real and backed by science. I'm not saying anything political. I am telling you facts right now. Now, I'm not showing them to you, but you are more than welcome to look up Sawyer syndrome. It's SWYER, I believe. Now, in this syndrome, women they cannot have babies, right? Because they're infertile. And it's a shame and it's really sad. You see women grow up and never know they have this. And I think more people are affected than what we realize. And it's something that geneticists and scientists alike should be looking into more often. But they also mentioned that on that day when everybody with a Y chromosome passed away, so did a lot of women, and not just trans women. I'm talking about born women with a Y chromosome. And it's something that's very real. And I thought it was a really great conversation starter to not only tell people that there are real issues out there that maybe you've never heard of that causes some sort of trans allegory, but there are also trans people in this world that are born with the wrong chromosome. And I thought it was a really great conversation starter. So that's basically all I wanted to say about that. But I do think this being called woke and everything else is kind of being blown out of proportion. I think it got canceled because there was very, very little marketing. Very little marketing. Even for somebody that's interested in the show, I don't remember seeing any advertisements. I only knew it was coming out because I was interested. Because it was something I had followed and absolutely had been looking forward to, and it was in production hell for a long time. I also think that FX is not doing so well, and it's a big budget project. Not only that, but you've got people like Diane Lane. That cannot be cheap. You're gonna have to pay these people. So unfortunately, we are seeing the demise of Y the Last Man. Now, I know there is still hope that it will be picked up by another company, but I find that highly unlikely, just because to continue a story, honestly, any story by Brian K. Vaughan would be hard to adapt. Like, I know there is some that can be done, but can you imagine trying to make a live action saga? It would be worse than production hell. But I don't know that they'll be able to do this. And I am sad to see it go. I think it was a really good representation of scientific fact and how people felt about themselves. And I think that's a really important distinction. So we have Eliza Clark, who is the showrunner, giving her statement. Now, I don't feel like this is the best statement to give. I think that she should have, well, we'll get into it. We have just learned that we are not moving forward with FX on Hulu for season 2 of Y the Last Man. I have never in my life been more committed to a story, and there is so much left to tell. I imagine they're not going to get very far. I'm behind on the episode that came out today. I haven't seen that yet, but I believe after that there's only 3 more episodes. So they're not going to get very far in this story. Y the Last Man is about gender. Honestly, it's not. That's why I feel like this is a bad representation. Yeah, those conversations can be had, and they're actually, more importantly, conversation starters, right? To talk about the ideals within them. But the show is not about gender. So it's about how oppressive systems inform identity. Maybe even with a stretch of the imagination, maybe when she's talking about the political, the right versus left, but I don't see that at all. Okay. We had a gender diverse team of brilliant artists led by women at every corner of our productions. Producers, writers, directors, cinematographers, production designs, costume design, stunt coordination, and more. It is the most collaborative, creatively fulfilling, and beautiful thing I have ever been a part of. We don't want it to end. I imagine so. That would be heartbreaking. FX has been an amazing partner. We have loved working with them. We are sad to see Y the Last Man is not going forward with FX on Hulu, but we know they're somewhere else, blah, 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 right? So I did see people upset that they were talking about women. I don't have an issue with that. I have always gone to women doctors. I have always had been more comfortable working with women. I don't necessarily get along with them, but it makes me feel less like I'm being creeped upon. Oh, that sounds narcissistic. I don't mean that in a narcissistic way whatsoever. I just mean I'm going to shut my mouth. I'm going to shut my mouth. I'm sad to see this go. I think it's a great conversation starter. I think it's a great way to show not only division, but what can happen when somebody, whether it's a gender or a species, come together and work together and actually have those conversations. So let me know, of course, what you guys think. I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.
I'm not just a